We all know that because of U.S. technological hegemony, as long as U.S. technology is used, even if it is only 1/1000 or 1/10,000 included, it will be restricted by the U.S. Therefore, if a company wants to supply Huawei or provide services for Huawei, it must obtain the consent of the United States. TSMC cannot produce chips for Huawei because its many devices use American technology, such as EUV lithography machines. Almost at the same time as the ban on OEM chips for Huawei, the United States asked TSMC to build a factory in the United States. Now we know that TSMC plans to build a 5-nanometer chip factory in the United States, but TSMC is not active for it. In addition to manpower reasons, cost is a more critical factor. TSMC has repeatedly stated that it is unrealistic to build a chip factory in the United States because it is difficult to make profits. Therefore, TSMC has always hoped to receive subsidies from the United States. In fact, before TSMC went to the United States to build a factory, the United States did say that it would give subsidies, but so far, the promise has not been fulfilled. And now, according to media reports, TSMC's subsidy vision may be about to collapse. Semiconductor advisors issued a document stating that the possibility of the realization of the U.S. CHIP Act has become increasingly slim, and the $52 billion in subsidies mentioned in the CHIP Act will also disappear. In other words, the best result for TSMC to build a factory in the United States may just end in an unprofitable outcome. In contrast, TSMC's competitor Intel has already received a preferential subsidy of $2 billion, which is equivalent to sponsoring more than a dozen EUV lithography machines. This is not the worst result. Some of TSMC's major customers have begun to consider handing over orders to Intel to complete. For example, NVIDIA has said before that it is considering Intel. Recently, Qualcomm has also expressed that it will consider letting Intel come to the foundry. In addition, Intel has also begun to call Apple, hoping that Apple will join. If TSMC loses these big U.S. customers, the losses will undoubtedly be heavy, while at the same time it has to reluctantly take care of the U.S. 5-nanometer fab. At a time like this, I found some clues that TSMC seems to have begun to prepare to come back to Huawei. Why is this? What evidence is there to support my seemingly absurd claim? Is TSMC really not afraid of the United States? Hi everyone. Welcome to Eyes of Real China. Here is a place for you to find the real China. Every day, we will focus on the latest and prevalent news of China and explore the hidden truth and philosophy behind the news. Before we start today's video, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Okay, let's take a look at the topic we are going to talk about today. At the beginning of the video, we mentioned that if TSMC wants to supply chips for Huawei, it must use a production line without American technology. However, in recent years, TSMC has begun to turn to more and more mainland China suppliers. For example, the etching machine supplier Advanced Microfabrication Equipment Company AMEC may be the most popular mainland enterprise that has joined the TSMC supply chain, but it is more than that. Products from mainland Chinese companies such as Grandit, Focuslight Technology, and dufluoride chemicals have been adopted by TSMC one after another. These mainland Chinese companies are involved in many fields such as materials, components, and equipment. In the more than 30 years of TSMC's development history, it is rare to use mainland Chinese companies in the supply chain so frequently and intensively in a short period of time. In particular, I noticed that a new chip was used in Huawei's new phone recently. After dismantling, media reports said that the chip is likely to be a new version of the Kirin 710 series built by the domestic supply chain. Therefore, many people speculate that TSMC may build a 14/28 nanometer pure domestic production line for Huawei. Although 14 nanometers and 28 nanometers are not advanced technologies, there are many types of chips using 14 nanometers and 28 nanometers. For example, router chips, smart screen chips, security chips, automotive-grade chips, etc. In terms of Huawei's shipments, the orders for these chips are also huge. It seems that TSMC really needs Huawei, a loyal customer with huge orders, at a time when Intel is eyeing it and TSMC's US corporate customers are swaying precariously. So, why does TSMC dare to do these things under the nose of the United States? Is it really not afraid of America? In fact, it may be because TSMC is already very disappointed with the United States. At the beginning of the video, we discussed that most of the reasons for TSMC's current bad situation are caused by the United States. We also discussed the grievances between TSMC and the United States in the video we released before. Now we are sorting out what misfortunes the United States has brought to TSMC. Aside from its unfulfilled grants and the strong preference for TSMC's biggest rival Intel, the United States also wants to poach people from TSMC in order to fill the talent gap of the local semiconductor industry. Due to the difficulty in recruiting qualified and experienced employees in the United States, the local semiconductor market is facing more than 5,000 job vacancies, and the American think tank suggested that these vacancies can be imported from outside, preferably experienced talents from TSMC. When TSMC went to the United States to build a factory, it was also required to hand over some of its technical cores. Obviously, the United States invited TSMC to work for free for the US and take this opportunity to obtain relevant technologies. Seeing that the previous plan did not work, the United States began to find ways to poach people. In addition, in order to stimulate the enthusiasm of local semiconductor manufacturers to build factories, the United States also passed a subsidy bill of $52 billion so as to reduce the pressure on the builders of local fabs. However, Intel, a local American company, has already built 2 fabs with a subsidy of $20 billion, and TSMC still has not received a cent. This is why Morris Chang, the founder of TSMC, angrily rebuked when he delivered a speech at the Brookings Institution increasing domestic production of chips in the United States is a wasteful and futile move. Presumably the old gentleman finally realized when he could not get the subsidy. Now for TSMC, a last-ditch battle may be a choice that has to be made, otherwise it will eventually usher in either chronic death or complete oversight. From the perspective of a bystander, I can only wish TSMC good luck. At the same time, this also sounded the alarm for all technology companies to take their destiny into their own hands. Okay, that's all for today. Your likes and views are the encouragement that we can move on more videos in the future. Please put your comments below and share your insightful ideas with other people. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. Goodbye.